All right. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a website called CoSketch, and it is found on CoSketch.com. It is completely free and does not require any registration. It is a pretty much like an online interactive whiteboard, like our Blackboard Collaborate that we used earlier in the previous module, and you allow students to work on the same page in real time. Users have the ability to chat via a chat box. They can share text, drawings, images, and even pull up maps using Google Maps if talking about location. So if I'm teaching my lesson on Johnny Appleseed, I could pull up a map and tell them, where Johnny Appleseed was, where he planted trees, which is really nice. Okay, now I'm going to show you the website. So let me pull that up. All right, so here is CoSketch.com in my browser. And you can see this is the main page. It says, what is CoSketch, and gives you a little brief overview of what it is and lets you know that Google Maps was added, which is nice. You can just click over here at the start here, create a sketch. And you can see, I'm going to hide this for now. You can see that it's just a whiteboard right here. And over here is where all of the keys will be. Now I will tell you, when you share this with your students, all you have to do is copy this link up here and send it to your students so they can be at the same whiteboard that you are at. Now here are hotkeys, which I really don't use because I just click them down below, but you can click P for pen, L for line. You can click any of these image items here to use on the whiteboard, but you don't have to. You can actually just click them right here as well. So if I want to do a line, it's just interactive. The students will see it right away as I do it. Let's see, there's shapes to do, and you can pick a color that you want to do it. I was thinking it would be kind of neat to do with the circles. You could do a Venn diagram. I could say, how, are you like Johnny Appleseed, or how are you different? And they could kind of all input and fill that in. Now they could try and, it would probably be hard to use the pen to write that in, but they could just click this ABC, which is text, and they'll just type in, I am like, they'll fill this out, and then they'll click and it'll go on there for everybody to see. So they could actually use text on here as well, which is nice. All right, and then I can just clear the pad if I'd like. It clears everything. Moving down, there's a library of images you could click. You can just click one, and you can see some images that they have. Nothing too fancy, but you could put that up there on the page as well. Here's upload image. I could take a picture of an apple from my computer and put it up there, and then all the kids would see it, and I can talk about the parts of it and point them out, which is really nice. Or I could even, upload an image of the worksheet to show the students do together. And then here's that Google Maps. I could click that, and then I'll show you real quick. A map will come up, and then I could circle, we're going to talk about Finland something today, which is nice. Okay, and then just to leave out of that, I could hit clear all. Okay. And say a student was sick today, I could just save the sketch, and there'll be a link that I can send to the student. That way they can come back and access just what was, whatever I left on the board for them to see. Okay, right here is where I put in Miss Slap my name. This is where you'll put in your name so they know who is in here. So I just put that in there. Okay, and then down here is the chat room. So that's always open. You can just move it down. You can minimize it or keep it up. So I can type in, hello class, oops, sorry. And then send that, and then they'll see that I talked to them. And I think I covered that. All right, so that was most of what you can do on the CoSketch website. Now just a review of the features. It is collaborative because of the chat room. So it's kind of immediate where students can share their ideas, and they can answer any questions that I might pose to them, and they can even collaborate on projects. So maybe I could set up another whiteboard in a different tab and give students a different link to work on together, and then they can come back to a main whiteboard. I feel like that would be a little bit tricky having a whole lot of whiteboards open, but it's one of the only ways I could think of getting the students to collaborate with each other. And then the live whiteboard feed, you could see that students could see that I was drawing circles, or I was putting a Venn diagram up, so that's immediate as well, and they can type on there as I'm on there as well. And then if a student's sick, like I said, I can save the board for them as well and show it to them. Okay. The Rice text, the links to that. How can CoSketch foster a sense of community? On page 103, Rice discusses the importance of getting acquainted with learners by having them share information about themselves. So I was thinking of using the board to do something like a star student, where each student in the classroom would have their own specific whiteboard link, and then they would be able to upload a picture of themselves, and they could upload images of favorite things. They could use, the paint part to draw pictures or whatever they'd like to show their favorite color. And then they'll share it with the class. So maybe each week or each day I could have a different students. I could share out their link, and then we could look at it together and chat about it in the chat box. And I also just think that the teacher, the presence of the teacher talking in the chat box, the teacher putting images up and, looking for participation, I think that kind of helps with the fact of building a community as well, because the teacher's constantly there and reaching out to the students. On page 104, Rice discusses a way to facilitate social presence as well as foster a sense of community through peer-to-peer interactions. So I could group students and place them on a separate whiteboard to share, maybe a Johnny Appleseed or even Apple Facts. They could create a chart and diagram on their separate whiteboard together as partners, and then we could come back to the main whiteboard where I'm at and share what you found with your partner. I can put image of a label, like a label of the Apple worksheet on the whiteboard and have students, okay, if you're the red today, go ahead and tell me the answer to this question. So that kind of gets everybody participating, and it gives everybody, everybody has a turn to get up there. And it kind of encourages that presence and peer-to-peer interaction. Okay, looking at table 5.3 in the Rice text, in the shared resources, I thought I could do some sort of scavenger hunt where I could post up specific websites I want the students to go to and find Apple Facts, and then they can find their favorite fact, and then maybe come back to the whiteboard and type in the favorite thing they found. In brainstorming, we could use the live chat to come up with maybe more Johnny Appleseed themes we would like to investigate, create a KWL chart, or even create like a concept map about something about apples or apple food that we like. Problem solving, I think, can be found through the immediate feedback on any uncertainties, and that could be through the live chat. So maybe I'm teaching a lesson and somebody doesn't quite get, one stage of the apple life cycle. They could say that in the chat and I could address it right away, or wait till after the lesson to figure it out. Mastery, and I feel like that is through, this online doc format where I can see immediately, if I ask a question, who's answering my questions? And if you're answering my questions, are you answering them correctly? So it's kind of how I observe students in the classroom, but that's a great way for me to see their mastery, how they're participating, and if I have, if they're answering the questions correctly. If I'd say, where are the seeds found in an apple? And I ask everybody to type that in the chat box, and I can see, who could answer that and who couldn't. All right, the last thing, the social presence model, interaction intensity, and I think that can be used, through live class meetings on the whiteboard where I can, through the chat box where we are constantly talking and discussing any issues that we have, and just through me constantly asking students, I didn't see you post today and you were yellow, or where's my yellow friend at, and then getting them to participate in the classroom. Community cohesion, I feel like, just building that community using the STAR student like I stated earlier, or just taking the time at the beginning of the class to get on that chat box and to check in on all students, say, how was your weekend? Do anything fun? Just like a class meeting. And also those collaborative assignments I discussed earlier of sending students off to different whiteboards to work together. The instructor involvement, I think, is pretty major. And that can be seen through live class meetings where I am there for constant guidance with the students, where I'm constantly, I'm either telling them something, asking them questions, or getting them any way I can get them engaged in the lesson through that tool. And then just the chat room. I think the chat is the biggest way to get instructor involvement through the students on there. Communication is major and is important. I could say, what's your favorite apple? Have you eaten anything made of apples this week? What's the weather like outside your house today? Anything like that, I can relate it to the lesson, and I'm also kind of learning more about my students. All right, that is it for CoSketch. Thank you for listening.